Let us begin our journey tonight with a change in the air. We find ourselves in the heart of autumn, a season of long, soft shadows and a particular quality of golden light. Imagine yourself on a quiet walk in the late afternoon. The air is no longer warm and heavy with the promises of summer. It is crisp, cool, and clean, carrying the faint, sweet, and smoky scent of burning leaves from a distant farmhouse. The world feels calm, settled, and a little tired, as if it is preparing for a long and well-deserved rest. You are walking alongside a quiet lake. The water is still and dark, a perfect mirror reflecting the deep blue of the sky and the brilliant, fiery colors of the maples and oaks that line its shore. The frantic energy of summer has passed. The world is moving more slowly now. There is a sense of peace in this slowing down, a gentle melancholy that is not sad, but deeply and beautifully contemplative. It is a time for quiet thoughts, for warm sweaters, for feeling the gentle rhythm of the seasons turning. And it is in the midst of this deep, autumnal peace that you first hear it. It is not a sound from the woods around you, nor from the water beside you. It comes from high above. It is a faint, lonely, and resonant call, a sound that is both wild and familiar, a distant, musical honking, like a strange and beautiful note played on a celestial horn. It is a sound that seems to speak of vast, open spaces and long, tireless journeys. You pause your walking. You stand still and listen, tilting your head to the sky, trying to find the source of this ethereal music. For a moment, there is only the sound, echoing in the crisp air. And then you see them. High up, so high they are almost just a sketch against the pale blue canvas of the sky. You see a formation of birds. It is a perfect, living arrow, a V-shaped wedge of dark bodies, moving with a steady, unhurried, and unwavering purpose. They are flying in a formation so orderly, so precise that it seems impossible. It is a piece of living geometry, a dark, graceful stitch upon the fabric of the heavens. They are geese, the great travelers of the sky, and they are on their way. You watch, mesmerized. There is something profoundly ancient and deeply moving about this sight. It is a scene that has been repeated every autumn for thousands upon thousands of years. Your distant ancestors stood on this same earth, looked up at this same sky, and felt this same quiet sense of wonder and awe. To witness this is to connect with a rhythm that is far older than our own lives, a rhythm that is written into the very heart of the planet. Let us watch the way they fly, the slow, powerful, and utterly synchronized beat of their wings. Each bird is a master of the air, its wings carving great, invisible circles, pulling its body forward with a strength that seems effortless. There is no sense of struggle, no sense of frantic haste. There is only a powerful, patient, and relentless progress. The bird at the very point of the V, the leader, cleaves the air, creating a path of less resistance for the others who follow. And after a time, another bird will move forward to take its place. A silent, understood act of shared responsibility, of communal effort. The V formation itself is a marvel of natural wisdom. It is a shape of profound efficiency, allowing the flock to travel farther, using less energy than any single bird could ever hope to on its own. It is a moving testament to the power of community, of a shared journey. They are not just flying together, they are helping each other to fly. And their calls continue to drift down to you, no longer lonely, but now a part of a great conversational chorus. It is not a panicked or an anxious sound. It is a sound of communication, of encouragement, of simply stating, I am here. We are together. We are on our way. It is the soundtrack to their great seasonal pilgrimage. As you stand there, watching them, the world around you seems to fade into the background. The lake, the trees, the ground beneath your feet, they all become a quiet stage for this magnificent, passing performance. you feel a strange and beautiful mix of emotions. There is a sense of wonder at the sheer scale and mystery of their journey. Where have they come from? Where are they possibly going that could be worth such an immense and arduous flight? There is also that gentle, autumnal sadness. They are leaving. Their departure is a sure and certain sign that the warmth is fading, that the days are shortening, that the long, quiet sleep of winter is approaching. Their journey is a kind of farewell, but underneath that sadness, there is something else. A feeling of deep respect, a feeling of profound peace. You're witnessing a ritual that is pure, instinctual, and deeply in tune with the rhythms of the earth. These birds are not fighting the changing seasons. They are not resisting the coming cold. They are moving with it in perfect harmony. They are listening to a wisdom that is far older than thought, and they are obeying its call without question. And so you watch until the great living arrow has passed directly overhead. You watch it continue its journey southward, growing smaller and smaller in the vast expanse of the sky. The powerful, resonant calls begin to fade, becoming fainter and fainter, until at last they are just a memory in the air. And then, the V formation itself begins to dissolve into the distance, becoming just a dark, wavering line, and then a speck, and then nothing at all. They are gone, and the silence they leave behind is deeper and more profound than the silence that was there before. The sky seems vast and empty now. The air feels a little cooler, and you are left alone with your thoughts, and with the quiet beauty of the autumn evening. You are left with the lingering feeling of having been a witness to something important, something wild and ancient and true. You have been given a glimpse into one of the great, recurring, and mysterious stories of our living world, the story of a great journey. And this is where our own journey into understanding theirs can now begin. The sky is empty now, a quiet canvas of deepening blue. The last faint, haunting calls of the great birds have faded into the silence, but the image of their journey remains with us. That perfect living arrow, moving with such purpose, such certainty, across the vast autumn sky, and in the quiet space they have left behind, a gentle question begins to form in our minds. Why? What is this incredible, powerful force that can compel a creature to leave a place of familiar comfort and undertake a journey of thousands of miles? A journey fraught with challenge into the unknown. The answer is not a simple one, for it is a story that begins long ago. The motivation for this great pilgrimage is not a thought, not a conscious decision made by the bird in the way that we might decide to take a trip. It is something far deeper, more ancient and more mysterious. It is a kind of memory, a wisdom that is carried not in the mind, but in the very blood and bone of the bird. It is an ancient whisper. Let us try to imagine what this feels like. As the summer begins its slow, graceful fade into autumn, something begins to stir within the bird. The days, which have been long and full of light, begin to shorten, even if only by a minute or two each day. The angle of the sun in the sky becomes a little lower, a little less intense. The nights grow cooler. These are the subtle, gentle cues from the great, reliable clock of the planet and the bird. An organism perfectly attuned to these rhythms receives these messages. Deep within its brain is a tiny, exquisite clock, a cluster of cells that is sensitive to the changing length of the daylight. This internal clock, which has kept time with the seasons for its entire life, registers this shift, and as it does, it sends a cascade of new, silent messages throughout the bird's body. It releases a different set of hormones, which are like tiny chemical messengers carrying a new set of instructions. And these instructions begin to sing a new song within the bird, a song of restlessness. It is a German word, Zugunruhe, which beautifully captures the state migratory restlessness. Let us think of it as a kind of sacred fidgeting. The bird, which was content all summer to stay within its familiar territory, now begins to feel a strange, new energy. In the evenings, instead of settling down to rest, it might flutter its wings nervously. It might make short, agitated flights. It might find itself, without consciously choosing to, facing south, toward a distant, unseen horizon. This is the ancient whisper making itself heard. It is a feeling that begins to grow, day by day, a low, humming vibration of purpose. It is not a feeling of panic or fear. It is crucial that we understand this. The bird is not fleeing the coming winter in terror. It is not haunted by a vision of a frozen, barren landscape. The story is not one of fear, but one of profound and instinctual calling. The whisper does not say, "You must escape the cold." It says there is another place, a place of warmth and abundance, that is waiting for you. The migration is not a push from behind, but a powerful magnetic pull from ahead. It is a journey toward a promise of food, of sun, of life in a different part of the world. A world that is, at that very moment, entering its own season of warmth and light. This instinct is a form of deep memory, a memory that is encoded in the bird's very DNA. Its ancestors, for millions of years, have made this same journey. Those who felt the whisper most strongly, those who obeyed its call most faithfully, were the ones who survived and passed this wisdom on to their children. And so the whisper has grown stronger, more refined, more certain with every passing generation. The bird does not need to be taught the way. The map, the compass, and the ancient calling are all a part of its inheritance. It is a wisdom that transcends individual experience. A young bird, on its very first migration, has never seen its winter home. It has no conscious memory of the route, and yet it feels the same irresistible pull. It will join the flock, and it will fly for thousands of miles to a place it has never been, but which its body, in its deepest wisdom, recognizes as its other home. To contemplate this is to feel a sense of awe for the deep, mysterious intelligence of life. It is an intelligence that operates beyond the realm of our own logical, reasoning minds. It is a wisdom of the body, a wisdom of the earth. And we, too, are carriers of such ancient whispers. Our own bodies have their own deep, instinctual wisdom, rhythms and urges that are far older than our conscious thoughts. Think of the feeling of sleepiness that is beginning to visit you now. Where does it come from? It is not a decision you have made. It is not a logical conclusion you have reached. It is a gentle, persistent, and ancient calling from within. It is your own body's version of Zugunruwe. It is the whisper of your own internal circadian clock, a clock that is perfectly synchronized with the turning of the planet. It is the release of your own chemical messengers, your own melatonin, that is not forcing you to sleep, but is gently opening the door, inviting you to begin your own nightly migration. This feeling of sleepiness is not a weakness. It is not a state to be fought. It is your own ancient, inherited wisdom speaking to you in the gentle language of the body. It is telling you that the day of your waking, active life is shortening. It is telling you that the season of activity is ending, for a time. And it is calling you toward your own wintering grounds, the deep, quiet, and restorative realm of sleep. Just as the bird feels the irresistible pull toward a distant shore of warmth and sun, you can feel the gentle but persistent pull toward a place of quiet and restoration. It is not a flight from the day, but a journey toward the peace of the night. It is a promise of renewal. So as you lie here, you can feel a sense of kinship with that great flock of birds. You, Aster II, are a creature of rhythm, a being of instinct. You can learn to trust the ancient whisper within you. You can honor the call to rest, not as an inconvenience, but as a wise and sacred summons. You are simply answering the call of your own nature, a nature that is deeply and beautifully connected to the great, turning and timeless rhythms of the world. Let the restlessness in your mind quiet down. There's no need for it now. The only restlessness that matters is the gentle, instinctual pull toward the peace of sleep. You can yield to it. You can trust it. For it is the wisest voice you will ever hear. A quiet, loving, and ancient whisper, calling you home to your own rest. We have listened, in the quiet of our minds, to the ancient whisper that stirs in the heart of the migratory bird. We have felt it as a deep, instinctual restlessness, a sacred calling that is awakened by the shortening days of autumn. It is a pull towards a distant, promised land of warmth and sun, a pull that is both mysterious and irresistible. But the bird, in its inherited wisdom, knows that it cannot answer this call immediately. A great journey requires great preparation. A long flight requires fuel. And so, before the migration can begin, there must first be the great feast. As the migratory restlessness grows, another powerful instinct awakens alongside it, a profound and purposeful hunger. The bird, which may have eaten modestly throughout the summer, now enters a period of deliberate and dedicated feasting. This is not a state of simple gluttony. It is a sacred duty, a vital and necessary part of the migratory cycle. The bird must eat and eat and eat, not just to satisfy its daily needs, but to build a store of precious, life-sustaining energy for the immense journey that lies ahead. Let us imagine the world of late summer and early autumn through the eyes of one of these birds. The world at this time is a banquet table, laden with the perfect, high-energy foods that the traveler will need. The long, warm days of summer have poured their sunlight into the landscape, and that sunlight has been transformed and stored by the plant life. The bird's task now is to gather this stored sunlight into its own body. It finds the dark, jewel-like berries that hang in heavy clusters from the branches of shrubs and trees. Elderberries, dogwood berries, wild cherries. Each one is a tiny, purple-black globe of concentrated sugar, a perfect package of quick energy. The bird eats them by the dozen, a quiet and efficient harvesting. It finds the seeds of the late-season grasses and wildflowers. Each seed is a tiny, perfect vessel, a miniature storehouse containing all the concentrated energy of a whole summer's growth, packed into a dense, oily kernel. The bird has a beak perfectly designed to crack these small shells and retrieve the precious fuel within. And it finds the last of the season's insects, which are rich in proteins and fats. It forages in the leaf litter and on the bark of trees, finding these small, buzzing packets of life, adding their substance to its own. The entire landscape seems to be conspiring to help, offering up its abundance in a final, generous act before the coming of the cold. This is the Great Feast. It is a time of intense and focused activity, but it is a peaceful activity. There is a quiet purposefulness to the bird's every movement. It is not just eating, it is building. And what is it building? It is building a layer of the most perfect, most energy-dense fuel known to nature, fat. As the bird feasts, its remarkable metabolism goes to work, converting the sugars, proteins, and carbohydrates from its food into rich, golden droplets of fat. These droplets are stored in special deposits all over its body under the skin, in the abdomen, even within the muscles themselves. The bird becomes a living fuel tank, a perfectly prepared vessel for a long and arduous journey. Let us reframe our understanding of this fat. It is not just a sign of excess. In this context, it is a thing of profound beauty and efficiency. It is bottled sunlight. It is portable summer. Each tiny gram of this fat holds more than twice the energy of a gram of sugar or protein. It is a miracle of biological engineering, the perfect fuel for a creature that must travel thousands of miles with no chance to stop and eat along the way. The physical transformation of the bird during this time is remarkable. A small warbler, which might weigh no more than a few coins, can, in the weeks before its migration, almost double its body weight, all in the form of this precious high-energy fat. It becomes visibly rounder, heavier. It is no longer a light, sprightly creature of the summer branches. It is a dense, potent, and powerful little traveler, fully charged and ready for its pilgrimage. This process of storing energy is a lesson in foresight and trust. The bird is eating for a future it cannot see, preparing for a journey it has only ever known through the whispers of its own DNA. It is trusting that the fuel it gathers now will be precisely what it needs for the challenges to come. And we, in our own lives, perform our own version of the great feast each and every night as we prepare for our own migration into sleep. Our journey may not be across continents, but it is a journey into a different realm of being. And it, too, requires preparation. Our fuel is not food, but comfort, safety, and peace. Think of your own bedtime rituals. The act of dimming the lights is a way of gathering the darkness, of storing up the quiet that your mind will need. The act of putting on soft, comfortable pajamas is a way of feasting on tactile comfort. The act of drawing a warm, soft blanket up around you is a way of building your own layer of insulation, of storing the warmth and security that will protect you during your nightly journey. Perhaps you read a gentle book or listened to calming music. This is a way of consuming peace, of feeding your mind with gentle, soothing thoughts, rather than the high-energy, anxious thoughts of the day. You are deliberately changing your diet to prepare for a different kind of activity, the activity of rest. This preparation is not a series of mundane chores. It is a sacred and nurturing process. It is your own great feast. You are consciously and lovingly building up your own reserves of peace and security, ensuring that you have all the fuel you will need to make your own nightly migration a smooth, peaceful, and restorative one. You are becoming your own perfectly prepared vessel, ready to be launched into the quiet sea of your own sleep. So as you lie here now, feel the results of your own preparations. Feel the comfort of your bed, the warmth of your blankets, the quiet of your room. Know that these are not just passive comforts. They are the active fuel for your rest. You have feasted on peace. You have stored up security. You are ready. And like the bird, you can trust in this preparation. You can trust that you have given yourself exactly what you need to make this journey safely. The ancient whisper of your own sleepiness is calling. And now, having completed your own great feast, you are ready to answer. You are ready to be still and to let the journey begin. We have lingered for a while in the purposeful, quiet abundance of the great feast. We have imagined our small traveler, our migratory bird, diligently gathering the stored sunlight of the summer, transforming it into the precious golden fuel that will power its immense journey. The bird is now prepared. Its body is a perfect, self-contained vessel, fully charged with the energy of a season. And the ancient whisper, the migratory restlessness, is now a clear and insistent song in its very being. The time has come. The journey must begin. But a journey, especially one that will span continents and cross vast, open oceans, requires more than just fuel and the urge to travel. It requires a sense of direction. It requires a map. The bird does not carry a folded piece of paper in its beak. Its map is not one of lines and names drawn by a human hand. Its map is far grander, far more ancient, and far more reliable. Its map is the sky itself. Let us imagine the flock as it finally takes to the air. It may be morning, the sun just beginning its slow climb in the eastern sky. The birds circle for a moment, gaining altitude. Their chorus of calls a sound of communal purpose. And then, as one, they turn, and they begin to fly. Not in a random direction, but on a precise and unwavering course. During the day, their primary guide is the great, constant lighthouse we have come to know so well, the sun. The bird has woven into its ancient, inherited wisdom a remarkable ability to use the sun as a compass. It is not a conscious calculation. It is a deep, intuitive sense. The bird can perceive the position of the sun in the sky, and by using this fixed point, it can orient its own direction of travel. But how can it use a sun that is constantly moving across the sky? This is where another piece of its inner wisdom comes into play. The bird's own internal 24-hour clock, the circadian rhythm that we explored together on a previous journey. This internal clock works in perfect harmony with the external compass of the sun. The clock tells the bird what time of day it is. It knows with an instinctual certainty whether it is morning or noon or afternoon. And by knowing the time, it knows where the sun should be in the sky at that moment. By comparing the sun's actual position to where its internal clock says the sun should be, it can derive a true and accurate sense of north, south, east, and west. It is a breathtakingly sophisticated act of natural navigation, a silent, continuous conversation between the tiny clock in the bird's brain and the great celestial clock in the sky. Imagine a sailor on an ancient sea, using a simple sundial and their own knowledge of the day to chart a course. The bird is performing a similar feat, but with an elegance and an instinct that requires no conscious thought. It is simply feeling its way across the world, keeping the great golden beacon of the sun at the correct, constant angle to its wing. It is a journey guided by the light, but many of these great migrations take place during the night. The cool, calm, and often less turbulent air of the night is safer and more efficient for a long flight. And as the sun dips below the horizon, and the landscape below is lost to the darkness, our small traveler does not become lost. It simply switches to a different map. As the familiar light of its own star fades, the faint, ancient light of a million other stars emerges. The bird begins to navigate by starlight. The night sky becomes a great domed ceiling, a celestial chart of immense and beautiful complexity. And just as sailors have done for centuries, the bird finds its bearings by looking for the fixed points in this great, glittering display. For the birds that migrate in the northern hemisphere, their most faithful guide is a single modest star, a star that is not the brightest in the sky, but is by far the most important. The North Star, Polaris, all the other stars and constellations, as our Earth performs its silent pirouette, appear to wheel and turn in great, slow circles across the night sky. But the North Star does not move. It hangs, steady and true, directly above the Earth's North Pole. It is the silent, unmoving axle around which the entire northern sky seems to revolve. It is the still point in the turning world. And the birds know this. How they know is a beautiful mystery, but it is believed that as young birds in their first summer, they spend their nights simply watching the sky. They lie in their nests and they watch the great, slow celestial rotation. And their brains, with their incredible innate capacity for pattern recognition, begin to form a map. They learn, without being taught, to identify the one star that does not move. They imprint on this still point, it becomes their celestial anchor for the rest of their lives. And so, when the ancient whisper calls them south in the autumn, they have only to find this familiar, steadfast friend in the sky and fly away from it. By keeping the North Star to their backs, they can be certain that their course is true. And in the spring, when the whisper calls them to return, they will reverse their course and fly towards that same gentle and unwavering light, the light that will guide them home to the place of their birth. To contemplate this is to feel a sense of profound and peaceful order. The journey of this small, fragile creature is not a random, desperate flight. It is a journey guided by the most stable and reliable forces in the cosmos. The bird has placed its trust in the sun and the stars, and they, in their silent mathematical grace, will not lead it astray. This great celestial map is available to you as well. As you lie here, that you can imagine the same star-dusted sky above you. You are under the same constellations that are, at this very moment, guiding a flock of geese or a tiny warbler on its long journey. There is a sense of shared experience, of being a part of the same grand and beautiful system. And you, as Sadhguru too, can find your own still point. In the midst of the turning, swirling thoughts and feelings of your day, there is a place of quiet within you that does not move. For many, this is the simple physical sensation of the breath. Thoughts may circle and wheel around it, but the breath remains, a steady, reliable, and peaceful anchor. You can always return your attention to it. It is your own North Star. To prepare for sleep is to let go of the need to follow all the turning, wheeling thoughts, and to instead rest your awareness on your own, internal, still point. You can trust this quiet center to guide you through the night. Let us rest. Then, in the beautiful knowledge that our small traveler is not lost, it is being guided by a map of pure light. A map that is as vast as the sky and as reliable as the universe itself. It is a journey of deep trust and of profound cosmic harmony. And we, in our own small personal migration into sleep, can be guided by that same sense of trust and that same deep and peaceful harmony. We have rested for a while in the quiet, cosmic certainty of the celestial map. We have imagined our small traveler, our migratory bird, navigating its immense journey by the steady, golden light of the sun and by the ancient, silver light of the stars. This is a feat of such profound, instinctual wisdom that it fills us with a sense of peaceful awe. The bird is not lost. It is guided by the most reliable beacons in the universe. But as we contemplate this, a gentle question may arise. What happens when the sky is not clear? What happens on a day thick with clouds, or on a night when a heavy fog obscures the familiar? Starry patterns? Does the bird's map simply disappear? Is the traveler suddenly lost? The answer is a quiet and wondrous no, for the bird possesses another map, another compass, one that is even more subtle, more mysterious, and more deeply ingrained than its connection to the light. It is a sense that does not rely on its eyes in the conventional way. It is a sense that allows it to feel the very presence and direction of the planet itself. The bird can perceive the Earth's magnetic field. Let us first try to imagine this field, this great invisible force that surrounds our world. It is born from the slow, churning eddies of liquid iron in the planet's outer core, the very heart of the world we visited on a previous journey. And from this deep, iron heart, a great protective cloak of magnetic energy emanates. It flows out from the South Pole in vast, silent, curving lines, arcing through space, and then sweeping back down to enter the Earth again at the North Pole. It is an immense, invisible, and beautifully ordered structure, a kind of planetary aura that shields us from the harsh particles of the solar wind. It is as real as the ground beneath our feet, yet it is utterly silent and completely invisible to our human senses. But not, it seems, to the bird. The bird, in its exquisite sensitivity, can perceive this field. It can feel these great arcing lines of force. Let us not think of this as a superpower, but as a sixth sense, a subtle, intuitive awareness that is as natural to the bird as our own sense of balance is to us. It is as if the bird can feel the very grain of the planet, the directional texture of the space through which it flies. It is guided by an invisible thread. How it does this is a beautiful and profound mystery, a subject of gentle and ongoing scientific inquiry. But one of the most poetic and compelling ideas is that the bird may, in a sense, be able to see this invisible field. Deep within the bird's eye, in its retina, there is believed to be a special kind of molecule, a protein sensitive to light. Let us think of this molecule as a tiny quantum compass. When a particle of light, a photon, enters the bird's eye and strikes this special molecule, it can trigger a tiny, fleeting chemical reaction. And the outcome of this reaction, the way the molecule behaves in the split second after being touched by light, is exquisitely sensitive to the direction and the angle of the Earth's magnetic field around it. And so, it is possible, and it is a beautiful thought, that the bird sees the world through a kind of magical filter. It sees the familiar landscape of trees and rivers and mountains, but superimposed over it, it may also see a faint, soft pattern of light and shadow, a subtle and hazy grid that is created by this quantum compass in its eye. This pattern would shift as the bird turns its head, and by instinct, it would know how to align itself with these faint, internal patterns to find its true direction. It would be seeing the invisible threads of the Earth's own energy. Imagine what that must be like, to see not only the visible world, but also the invisible architecture that underlies it. To have a constant, unwavering, and internal sense of north and south. A sense that is there on the sunniest day and on the darkest, most storm-tossed night. It is a gift of profound and unshakable direction. And the bird, in its wisdom, does not rely on just one map. It is a master navigator, cross-referencing all of its senses to create a rich and redundant picture of its journey. On a clear day, it uses the sun, checking its position against its internal magnetic sense. On a clear night, it uses the stars, confirming its heading with the whisper of the invisible threads of magnetism. And on a cloudy, overcast day, when the light of the sky is hidden, it can fall back on this deep, mysterious, and utterly reliable sense alone. It is never truly lost. The planet itself is its guide. This idea of a great, silent, and benevolent force that surrounds us and can guide us is a deeply comforting one. It suggests that reality has more layers than we can perceive with our own limited senses. It hints at a world of subtle energies and hidden structures that are orderly, reliable, and supportive. And we, too, can learn to trust the invisible threads in our own lives. We cannot see the force of gravity, yet we trust it to hold us safely in our beds. We cannot see the air we breathe, yet we trust it to fill our lungs and give us life. And we cannot always see the reasons for our own deep, instinctual urges, like the gentle and persistent pull of sleepiness. Yet we can learn to trust them as well. Your own desire for rest is a kind of magnetic sense. It is a pull toward your own personal, true north of restoration. It is an invisible thread, woven from your own biology and the ancient rhythms of the planet, gently tugging at you, guiding you toward the place you need to be. You do not always need to understand it fully to trust it. You can simply feel its pull and allow yourself to align with it. To surrender to sleep is to place your trust in these deep, invisible, and benevolent forces. It is to let go of the need to see and understand everything, and to simply allow yourself to be guided by the quiet, instinctual wisdom of your own body and the planet it belongs to. So let us rest now in the wonder of this invisible sense. Let us feel a kinship with the small traveler who is at this moment flying through the dark, guided by a force it cannot see, but which it trusts implicitly. It is held and guided by the very cloak of the planet. And you, too, are held and guided. Held by the gentle, constant force of gravity. Guided by the ancient, rhythmic pull of your own need for rest. Let go and trust the invisible thread. It is leading you home to the deep, peaceful, and restorative center of your own sleep. We have spent our last moments in quiet contemplation of the beautiful and mysterious senses of the migratory bird. We have imagined it navigating by the great, steady lighthouses of the sun and stars, and by the faint, invisible threads of the Earth's own magnetic field. The bird is not a wanderer, it is a master navigator, equipped with a suite of senses so sophisticated and so deeply instinctual that they defy our full understanding. And now, with its body fueled by the great feast and its course set by these ancient inner maps, the time for waiting is over. The great journey, the migration itself, begins. Imagine it. A single bird, feeling the irresistible culmination of the ancient whisper, takes to the air. Another follows, and then another. From fields and marshes, from shorelines and forests, individuals begin to rise and coalesce. Soon, the sky is filled with them, a great swirling and purposeful gathering. They are not a chaotic mob. They quickly begin to organize themselves, their individual instincts merging into a single, collective intelligence. They form a flock. Let us not think of this flock as just a large group of birds. Let us see it as a single, living organism, a great feathered cloud with a mind of its own. It moves with a fluidity and a grace that is breathtaking to behold. It wheels and turns. It expands and contracts, every individual a perfect part of the greater whole, all moving in silent, exquisite harmony. And as they begin their long journey southward, they often arrange themselves into that most iconic and beautiful of formations, the great V in the sky. We saw this V from the ground in our first chapter, a distant, silent arrow. But let us now join the flock in the air and understand the deep wisdom of this simple shape. The bird at the very point of the V is the leader, the one who breaks the still air, bearing the greatest burden of the wind's resistance. But as this lead bird flies, its powerful wingtips create a small, swirling vortex in the air, a tiny, invisible whirlpool of rising air that spins off behind it. And the bird flying just behind and to the side positions itself perfectly to catch this little updraft. It is like getting a small helping hand from the air itself, a gentle lift that makes the flying just a little bit easier, requiring a little less effort. And the next bird in line does the same, finding its place in the wake of the one before it, and so on down both arms of the V. Each bird, except for the leader, is getting a small but significant amount of help from the bird just ahead. They are drafting, like cyclists in a race, but with a grace and an instinct that is purely natural. It is a beautiful, unspoken agreement of aerodynamic cooperation. They are sharing the work of the wind, and the work is shared in another way, too. The lead position is the most tiring, and no single bird holds it for the entire journey. After a time, the lead bird will drop back, slipping into one of the arms of the V to rest in the wake of another, and a new bird, fresh and strong, will move forward to take its place at the point. This rotation happens fluidly, without any apparent signal. A seamless and selfless changing of the guard. It is a community in motion, where each individual contributes to the well-being of the whole. Let us now imagine the feeling of the flight itself. It is not a relentless, desperate flapping of wings. It is a journey of immense efficiency and of attunement with the forces of the atmosphere. The birds are masters of the air, and they use its currents to their advantage. Their flight is a beautiful rhythm of power and surrender. There are long periods of powerful, rhythmic flapping. The great wing muscles, fueled by the bottled sunshine of their stored fat, propelling them forward. But then, there are moments of pure, effortless grace. The flock finds a great rising thermal of warm air, an invisible elevator in the sky, and they will cease their flapping and begin to circle within it, allowing the rising air to lift them higher and higher with no effort at all. It is a slow, beautiful upward spiral, a quiet dance with the warm breath of the earth. And when they find a strong tailwind, a great river of air moving in the same direction as their journey, they will ride it. They will spread their wings and glide, sailing on these invisible currents for miles and miles, conserving their precious energy. Their journey is a constant search for the path of least resistance, a path of maximum grace. Let us imagine the world as they see it, passing slowly, silently beneath them. From their great height, the world is a beautiful, abstract map. The patchwork of farms and fields, the dark, textured green of the great forests, the silver, serpentine ribbons of the rivers, the placid blue jewels of the lakes. At night, they may pass over the sleeping lights of small towns and great cities, a different kind of constellation on the dark earth below. The world unrolls beneath them, a silent, ever-changing tapestry. The scale of this journey is immense, but the birds do not perceive it in the way we would. They are not counting the miles. They are not worried about the destination. They are simply present in the act of flying. Their world is the feeling of the air on their wings, the sight of the bird flying just ahead, the sound of their companion's calls, and the deep, instinctual pull of the invisible map within them. They are in a state of pure, moving meditation. This image of the great, flowing river of birds in the air can be a comfort to us as we lie here, preparing for our own journey. Our own mind can often feel like a flock of scattered, individual thoughts, each one flying in its own direction, expending its own energy. But as we prepare for sleep, we can invite them to come together, to form their own gentle V, to find a single, peaceful, and common purpose. That purpose is rest. We can learn from the wisdom of the birds. We do not need to fight the currents of our own minds. We do not need to flap relentlessly against our own worries. We can instead learn to glide. We can find a gentle, rhythmic current, like the steady, slow rhythm of our own breath. And we can allow our awareness to rest upon it. We can let it carry us. We can let go of the effort and trust in the effortless flow. And we can feel a sense of a shared journey. As you lie here, letting go, know that you are not alone. Millions of other people, millions of other creatures are at this very moment beginning their own nightly migration into rest. You are part of a great, silent planetary flock, all answering the same ancient call. There is a deep, quiet comfort in this sense of community. We are sharing the work of letting go. So let your mind drift now. Let it join that great, silent river in the sky. Feel the effortless glide, the sense of being carried by a force that is both powerful and gentle. Feel the steady, rhythmic beat of your own heart, like the slow, powerful wings of the flock. You are on your way, and the journey is a peaceful one. We have been traveling for some time now as silent, invisible companions to the great flock. We have imagined ourselves as part of that living river in the air, feeling the effortless glide on the wind's currents, the deep communal harmony of the V formation, the steady rhythmic beat of 1,000 wings moving as one. We are part of a great and purposeful journey. And as we fly with them, looking down upon the slowly unrolling map of the world below, a gentle question may begin to form in our minds. We know they are flying south, away from the coming cold. But what is it exactly that they are flying toward? And what is it that they have left behind? We talk of them leaving home. But is that the entire story? This question invites us to explore a deeper, more poetic understanding of the world, and of the very concept of what it means to have a home. For the migratory bird does not live its life in the way we often think of our own, with one single, fixed address, one place that is home, and all other places being away. The migratory bird, in its profound and ancient wisdom, has not one, but two homes. And each home is perfect for its season. Each home is essential for the completion of its life's great recurring cycle. Let us first consider the place they have just left behind, the northern lands that are now preparing for the long sleep of winter. This was their summer home, but let us think of it more specifically as the home of the nursery. This was the place of breeding, of family, of creation. The long, sun-filled days of the northern summer created a brief, explosive abundance of life. The insects were plentiful, providing the rich protein needed to raise a new generation. The vast forests and grasslands offered countless safe and secluded places to build a nest, hidden from the eyes of predators. Life in this summer home was a life of intense and joyful work. It was a time of courtship, of intricate songs and beautiful aerial displays. It was a time of tireless construction, as the birds gathered twigs and moss and mud and soft feathers to weave their perfect, cup-shaped cradles. It was a time of patient incubation, of sitting steadfastly on the precious, fragile eggs, warming the future with the heat of their own bodies. And then it was a time of endless, frantic feeding, of journeying back and forth from dawn until dusk, bringing back food for the hungry, gaping mouths of their young. The summer home was a place defined by purpose, by family, by the powerful instinctual drive to create and to nurture new life. It was the home of doing, but this season of abundance is fleeting. As the earth continues its great celestial dance, the days grow shorter, the sun's light grows weaker, and the great banquet of summer begins to fade. The insects disappear, the plants stop growing. The home that was so perfect for raising a family is no longer a place that can sustain the flock through the long, cold months. And so the ancient whisper awakens, and it calls them away. It calls them to their other home. Their second home, the one they are flying toward now, is their winter home. But let us not think of it as a place of exile or vacation. It is their winter sanctuary. These are the lands closer to the equator, in the south, where the sun's light is more direct during the winter months, and where life remains abundant. Here, there are no freezing temperatures, no blankets of snow. There is food, there is warmth, and most importantly, there is a time for rest. Life in the winter home is different. The urgent, creative drive to reproduce is quiet for now. The primary purpose is no longer to create new life, but to sustain one's own. The days are shorter, and they are spent in a more leisurely rhythm. The birds spend their time feeding, restoring the fat reserves they used on their long journey. They spend long hours preening their feathers, maintaining the beautiful aerodynamic machinery of their wings. They rest. They gather in great sociable flocks. Their calls are more relaxed and conversational music. The frantic, purposeful energy of the nursery has been replaced by a slow, quiet, and deeply restorative rhythm. The winter home is the home of being, and so we see that the bird is not homeless for half the year. It is, instead, a creature that is so deeply in tune with the rhythms of the planet that it has evolved to have a home perfectly suited for each of the two great seasons of its life. One home for work and family, another home for rest and self-preservation. Neither is more important than the other. Both are essential. To be in the north during the summer is to be in the right place at the right time. To be in the south during the winter is also to be in the right place at the right time. Home, for the bird, is not a single point on a map. Home is a state of being in harmony with the current season of the world. This beautiful, fluid concept of home can be a gentle and healing one for us to contemplate. We, too, have our different seasons, our different needs. We have our own two homes that we migrate between, not over thousands of miles, Nita, but over the course of a single 24-hour day. Our waking life is our summer home. It is our nursery. It is the time and place where we do our work, where we engage with our families and our communities, where we create and build and solve problems. It is a time of bright light, of high energy, of purposeful, outward-focused activity. It is our home of doing, and it is a good and necessary home. But we cannot live in this bright, active summer home forever. The energy becomes depleted. The mind becomes cluttered. The body grows tired. And so, each and every evening, the ancient whisper of our own circadian rhythms begins to call to us. It calls us to our other home. It calls us to our nightly migration. And our other home, our winter sanctuary, is sleep. Sleep is the quiet, southern land to which we journey every night. It is a place where the urgent demands of the day fall away. It is a place where the primary purpose is not to do, but to be. It is a place of deep rest, of quiet nourishment, of profound cellular repair. It is the time when the librarian of the mind sorts the day's experiences, when the body's maintenance crew mends the day's wear and tear. It is our home of being. And just like the bird's two homes, neither of ours is more important than the other. Our waking life and our sleeping life are two halves of a single, healthy and complete existence. To embrace our sleepiness, to allow ourselves to make that nightly migration, is not an act of surrender or of giving up. It is a wise and necessary journey. It is an act of moving with grace and instinct, to the place that is right for the current season of our own personal daily cycle. So, as you lie here, feel yourself as a great traveler, a creature of two homes. You have spent your time in the bright, active summer world of your day. You have done your work. And now you can feel the gentle, instinctual pull toward your other home, the quiet, dark, and deeply restorative home of sleep. It is not a lesser place. It is an essential sanctuary, a place that will sustain you and heal you and prepare you for your eventual, easy return to the light. You are simply gracefully and wisely going home. We have been traveling with our flock for some time now, carried along on the great, silent river of the air. We have settled into the rhythm of their journey, a journey between two perfect homes, one for the work of creation and one for the quiet sustenance of the self. It is a beautiful, harmonious, and deeply purposeful pilgrimage. And yet, any journey that spans thousands of miles, that crosses oceans and mountains and vast open plains, will inevitably have its challenges. The world is not always a calm and gentle place, but in how our small travelers face these challenges, we find a new and even deeper respect for their ancient, instinctual wisdom. Let us not think of these challenges as dangers in a way that creates fear. Let us instead see them as tests of endurance, as questions posed by the universe, which the birds, in their quiet, collective intelligence, know how to answer. Imagine our great flock, flying high over the open water. In the distance, the sky begins to darken. The brilliant blue is replaced by a deep, bruised purple. The air, which was smooth and supportive, begins to grow turbulent, to push and pull in unpredictable ways. A great storm cloud, the very kind we have explored together on a previous journey, is gathering its energy ahead of them. The birds, in their exquisite sensitivity, feel this change long before we would. They can sense the subtle drop in the barometric pressure, a signal that the atmosphere is becoming unstable. They can see the towering, anvil-shaped head of the great cloud from miles away. And their ancient, inherited wisdom does not tell them to fight. It does not tell them to push through the storm in a desperate, heroic struggle. It tells them to be wise. It tells them to be patient. It tells them to seek shelter. And so the great flock, moving as one, will change its course. It will turn seeking the nearest point of land, the closest island or coastline. Or, if they are overland, they will begin to descend, seeking the protection of a dense forest, a deep valley, or the sheltered leeward side of a mountain, the side that is protected from the coming wind. Their goal is not to conquer the storm, but to honor its power and to simply wait for it to pass. They find their refuge, and they settle in. They huddle together in the thick branches of the trees, their feathers ruffled by the wind, but their bodies safe. They rest. They conserve their precious, stored energy. They listen to the drumming of the rain and the deep, rolling rumble of the thunder, and they wait. They understand, with a wisdom that needs no words, that the storm, for all its power, is temporary. They know that the sky will clear, the winds will calm, and the journey can then be resumed. This is not an act of cowardice. It is an act of profound, pragmatic intelligence. It is the wisdom of knowing when to fly and when to rest. Sometimes, the challenge comes not from the weather, but from other inhabitants of the sky. The migratory route is also the hunting ground for magnificent birds of prey, the hawk, the falcon, the eagle. Let us not see these creatures as villains in our story. They, too, are a vital part of the natural world. They, too, are on their own journey, guided by their own ancient whispers of hunger, providing for their own families. They are another beautiful, powerful, and necessary expression of life. When one of these great hunters is near, the flock again responds with a kind of collective, instinctual wisdom. The birds do not scatter in a blind panic. To scatter would be to make themselves vulnerable. Instead, they do the opposite. They draw closer together. The great loose V formation will instantly tighten. becoming a single, dense, and swirling cloud of bodies and wings. Imagine it 1,000 small birds, all moving as one. They twist, they turn, they dive, they rise, a fluid, unpredictable, and mesmerizing dance of evasion. For the predator, who hunts by singling out one individual, this makes the task almost impossible. There is no single target. There is only this one, great, shimmering, and constantly changing organism. The flock has made itself one, and in that unity, there is a profound and beautiful safety. Again, it is not a story of individual terror, but of collective grace and intelligence. And then, there is the most personal challenge of all the simple, quiet challenge of exhaustion. The journey is incredibly long, and it demands almost everything from the bird's small body. Sometimes, despite all its preparation, a bird may find that its own personal store of bottled sunlight is beginning to run out. It may be an older bird, or one that was not able to feast as well before the journey began. And as its energy wanes, it may find that it can no longer keep up with the powerful, rhythmic pace of the flock. And so, with a quiet dignity, it will begin to fall back. It will leave the great flowing river of its companions. This is not a moment of great drama. It is a quiet, personal parting. The bird will descend, finding a safe place on the ground, a quiet field, a thicket of reeds by a pond, and there it will rest. Perhaps with enough rest and a little food, it will regain its strength and be able to continue its journey alone. Or perhaps its great journey is simply over. Its life has been lived with purpose and in harmony with the great rhythms, and now it has come to its own. Quiet end. There is a deep and peaceful acceptance in this, a surrender to the natural cycles of life and energy. To contemplate these challenges and the bird's responses to them is to build a deeper appreciation for the resilience and the wisdom of life. They teach us that a long journey will always have its storms, its threats, its moments of personal exhaustion. And they teach us that the wisest response is not always to struggle harder. Sometimes, the wisest response is to seek shelter and to wait for the storm in our own lives to pass. To find a safe, quiet place and simply rest, conserving our own energy until the conditions are right to move forward again. Sometimes, the wisest response to our own inner predators, our fears, our anxieties, is not to face them alone, but to draw on our own sense of community, to tighten our formation, to connect with the people we love, to remember that we are part of something larger than our own individual fear. And sometimes, the wisest response is to simply acknowledge our own exhaustion and to give ourselves permission to rest, to let go of the need to keep up, and to find our own quiet place of recovery. The story of the bird's migration is not a story of an easy, untroubled flight. It is a story of immense challenge, met with even more immense instinctual grace. It is a story of resilience, and it is a story that can give us a deep and abiding sense of peace, knowing that even in the face of life's great challenges, there is a wisdom within us and within the world that knows the way. We have journeyed together through the challenges of the Great Migration. We have imagined our flock finding shelter from the storm, finding safety in their unified, swirling dance, and we have honored the quiet dignity of a journey's end. We have left them in their winter home, their southern sanctuary, a place of gentle sun and easy abundance, a place of deep and necessary rest for months. They have lived a life of simple rhythm, of feeding and resting, of restoring the immense energy they spent on their flight south. The great ancient whisper that called them here has been quiet, its purpose fulfilled. But the great wheel of the year never ceases to turn. The Earth, in its constant, graceful pirouette and its long, elliptical orbit, is beginning to tilt once more. Far to the north, in the lands our travelers left behind, a great change is taking place. The grip of winter is loosening, the snows are beginning to melt, the ice on the lakes is thinning, and most importantly, the days are beginning to grow longer. The sun, Our great constant lighthouse is climbing higher in the northern sky with each passing day, its light pouring down with a new and growing strength. And just as the shortening of the days awakened the first ancient whisper, this new returning light awakens a second one. Deep within the bird, in its blood and in its bones, a new restlessness begins to stir. It is a familiar feeling, yet it has a different quality, a different flavor. The first whisper was a call to a place of rest and survival. This second whisper is a call that is even more powerful, more primal, more deeply and urgently ingrained in the very fabric of its being. It is the call to return. It is the call to create new life. It is the whisper that says, "It is time to go home. It is time to build a nest. It is time to raise a family. It is time to continue the great, unbroken circle." And so, the great feast begins anew. But this time, the birds are feasting under a southern sun, gathering the energy not just for a long flight, but for the immense creative work that will follow. They build up their reserves of bottled sunlight once more, their bodies becoming strong and potent, ready for the journey north. The pull is irresistible, the purpose is clear, and the spring migration begins. In many ways, it is a mirror image of the journey we have already taken. The birds will use the same celestial maps, the same internal, invisible compasses. They will form their great cooperative V formations and ride the currents of the air. But the feeling of this journey is different. The autumn migration often has a quality of gentle, steady purpose. But the spring migration is often faster, more direct, more urgent. There is a new and joyful anticipation in the air. The birds seem to be pulled by an even stronger magnet, a powerful, creative longing for their ancestral home, the place where they themselves were born. And as they fly northward, the world that unrolls beneath them is not a world that is shutting down for winter, but one that is bursting with the fresh, green energy of spring. They fly over mountains where the snow is now in retreat, feeding the great, rushing rivers of the spring thaw. They fly over forests that are no longer a blaze of autumn color, but are now covered in a faint, delicate, and luminous green haze, the color of a billion tiny buds just beginning to open. They fly over fields where the first wildflowers are pushing their way up through the damp, dark earth. They are flying in perfect harmony with a great planetary awakening. They are a part of the symphony of spring. And finally, after thousands of miles, after weeks of tireless flight, they arrive. Let us imagine that moment, the moment of return. Think of a quiet, northern forest, just beginning to stir from its long winter sleep. The air is cool and clean, and it smells of damp earth and melting snow. And then, one morning, a new sound is heard. A sound that has been absent for many long, quiet months. It is the clear, fluting, and impossibly cheerful song of a single robin perched on a high branch, its red breast a flash of brilliant color against the gray and brown of the still bare trees. This arrival is one of the most potent symbols of hope in the natural world. It is a promise kept, a sign that the cycle is complete, that the grip of winter is truly broken, that life and warmth are returning to the world. The song of that first returning bird is a sound of pure, unadulterated joy and declaration. It is the sound of a traveler who has safely returned home. And soon, others follow. The sky, which was empty for so long, is now filled with the movement and the music of the returning travelers. They are not just passing through, they have arrived at their destination. This is their summer home, their nursery, and the great work is about to begin. The males, often arriving first, begin to establish their territories, filling the morning air with their complex, beautiful songs. Their music is a declaration of ownership, a challenge to rivals, and an intricate, beautiful invitation to a mate. The forest at which was silent is now a great, vibrant concert hall. And the birds demonstrate another of their quiet miracles, their incredible fidelity to place. A small warbler, weighing less than half an ounce, after a journey of 3,000 miles over open ocean and unfamiliar landscapes, will often return not just to the same forest or the same patch of woods, but to the very same tree, the very same branch, where it built its nest the year before. Its internal map is that precise, its sense of home that strong. This act of returning, of finding one's way back to a specific, sacred spot on the vast surface of the earth, is a testament to the incredible power of the navigational senses we have explored. It is a feat that should fill us with a sense of profound and gentle wonder. This beautiful story of the return is also a mirror for our own daily rhythm. Our journey into sleep is our autumn migration, a journey to our quiet, restorative winter home, and our awakening in the morning is our own personal spring. It is our own return. We journey back from the deep, mysterious, and restful world of sleep, and we arrive back in the familiar landscape of our waking consciousness. The first clear thought of the morning, the first conscious breath we take, the first light we perceive through our eyelids, these are the songs of our own returning robin. They are a sign that we have made the journey safely, that we have been restored, and that a new day, full of its own potential for life and doing, has begun. To awaken, then, is not a jarring alarm, but a gentle arrival. It is a hopeful and a beautiful and a necessary part of our own life cycle. And just as the bird returns to its summer home to begin the joyful work of creation, we return to our waking world to begin the work of our own new day, fueled and restored by the deep, quiet peace of the home we have just left behind. Here we are, at the quiet destination of our long and gentle journey together. We have flown on the wings of our imagination, following the great living arrow in the autumn sky. We have traveled to a place of deeper understanding, a place of profound and simple peace. We have told the story of the Great Migration, and now, as our journey comes to its soft and quiet conclusion, we can gather the threads of this story and see that it is not just the story of a bird. It is also, in its most intimate and beautiful sense, your story. Let us, for one last time, gently trace the path we have followed. We began with the image of a V-shaped flock against the cool, blue canvas of the autumn sky, a sight that stirred in us a feeling of gentle melancholy and deep, quiet wonder. We listened for the source of their journey, and we heard it not as a cry of fear, but as an ancient whisper in the blood, a deep, instinctual calling to follow the turning of the seasons. We watched as the birds prepared for their pilgrimage, partaking in a great and purposeful feast, diligently transforming the stored sunlight of the summer into the precious golden fuel of their own bodies. We saw them become perfectly prepared vessels, ready for the immense journey that lay ahead. We looked to the skies with them and saw their maps, the great constant lighthouse of the sun by day, and the silent celestial chart of the stars by night, with the still point of the North Star as their most faithful guide. We marveled at their secret, sixth sense, the ability to feel the invisible threads of the Earth's own magnetic field, a compass that works even in the deepest darkness. We joined them in the air and felt the grace of their flight, the communal wisdom of the V formation, the effortless glide on the currents of the wind. We saw them not as individual travelers, but as a single, flowing river of life in the sky. We came to understand the beautiful, fluid concept of their two homes, the northern nursery for the work of creation, and the southern sanctuary for the quiet sustenance of the self. We acknowledged the challenges of their journey, the storms and the predators, and we saw in their response not a story of fear, but a story of profound resilience, patience, and collective grace. And we felt the hope of their return, the joyful arrival in the spring that signals the renewal of life and the completion of the great cycle. And now, here, in the safety and quiet of your own resting place, we can see that this entire epic annual journey is a perfect and beautiful metaphor for the small, personal, and deeply necessary journey that you undertake every single night. The migration into sleep, The bright, busy, and active world of your day is your summer home. It is your time of doing, of creating, of engaging with the world, of nurturing your own projects and relationships. It is a good and vital home. And the feeling of tiredness that has been growing in you as the day has ended is your own ancient whisper. It is the call of your own internal circadian clock, a deep and wise instinct telling you that the season of activity is ending, and it is time to journey to your other home. The rituals you perform as you prepare for bed, the dimming of the lights, the brushing of your teeth, the pulling up of a soft, warm blanket. This is your own great feast. You are not gathering berries and seeds. You are gathering comfort. You are gathering quiet. You are gathering a sense of safety and security. You are fueling your body and mind with the peace they will need for the journey ahead. Your own innate ability to find your way into sleep, a path you have walked every night of your life, is your own set of internal maps and compasses. You do not need to think about how to fall asleep. Your body knows the way. It has a deep, instinctual wisdom that is far older than your conscious mind. It has its own sun, its own stars, its own invisible threads to follow. All you have to do is trust them. And the act of letting go, of allowing your mind to drift, of releasing your hold on the sharp, clear thoughts of the day, this is your own silent flight. You are taking off. You are letting go of the ground of your conscious control. You are allowing yourself to glide on the gentle, rhythmic currents of your own breath. You are joining the great, silent flock of all the other souls who are, at this very moment, beginning their own nightly migration. And where are you going? You are going to your other home, your winter sanctuary, the quiet, southern land of sleep. It is a place not for doing, but for being. It is a place of deep, restorative peace. It is a place where the body can heal, where the mind can sort through the experiences of the day, where the spirit can be nourished. It is an essential home, and its purpose is to make you whole again, so that you are ready, in time, for the return journey. And that return journey is your awakening in the morning. That first slow return to consciousness, the first awareness of the light in your room, the first clear thought that is the arrival of the first robin in the spring. It is a moment of quiet hope, a promise of a new day, a fresh start. It is the completion of your own personal nightly migration. To fall asleep, then, is one of the most natural, wise, and harmonious things you can ever do. It is an act of profound trust in your own inner wisdom and in the great ancient rhythms of the world. It is not an ending. It is a journey. It is a migration. It is, in its own way, a homecoming. So now, the time has come. You have feasted on quiet. Your vessel is prepared. The ancient whisper is calling to you, a gentle, irresistible pull. There is nothing left to do but to trust your inner compass and to let the journey begin. Let your thoughts become the great flock and watch them as they form their V and begin to fly away into the soft, dusky distance of your mind. Let your breath be the steady, rhythmic beat of their wings, carrying you. Feel yourself lifting, gently, effortlessly, from the ground of your day. You are gliding now, on a current of peace, a part of a great silent river, flowing toward a place of deep and profound rest. You are on your way home. Trust the journey, let go, and fly.